Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Today is a little bit of a good news attaboy type video, and we're going to go down to Texas. This week, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed suit against the ATF related to the recently signed into law Suppressor Freedom Bill out of Texas. Now this bill, HB 957, was signed into law by Greg Abbott back in June. Didn't go into effect until September 1st, 2021. And before it went into effect back in July, and I did a video on it floating above, the ATF sent a letter to all of the FFLs in Texas basically telling them, we're your daddy, and you still have to abide by the Gun Control Act and the National Firearms Act. And no matter what law you passed in your state, the federal law supersedes it because of the Supremacy Clause. And it was reminding FFLs of their duty to follow the federal firearms regulations, and that would include the registration of the suppressors as well as the $200 tax stamp. And that we really haven't heard anything from Texas since then, and that happened back in July 26th of 2021, if I remember right. Well, this week, 3 days ago, Texas AG said, you know what, ATF, we're going to sue you. And the crux of this lawsuit is that these suppressors that are made in Texas, stamped made in Texas, and stay and remain in Texas, the Gun Control Act and the National Firearms Act don't apply because they're not a part of interstate commerce. And nor does the $200 tax stamp apply. And part of HB 957, when it was passed, it also forebode local and state law enforcement from enforcing federal laws related to suppressors. Now, when the law passed, there was a part of this bill that said that they would have to have this law cleared by the federal courts before it could kick in, and we've been kind of waiting to see which way it would go. Immediately, the ATF, put their foot on the throat of Texas, saying we make the law, and now Texas is fighting back. I'm going to put some quick information here on the screen. And you can see the first part is a quote from the lawsuit. It says, federal laws and regulations which tax and regulate the making of firearm suppressors in Texas for personal use in Texas impinge upon a right protected by the Second Amendment. Now, when you have a lawsuit in court, you have to have standing, and this is where the AG of Texas got his standing. He filed the lawsuit on behalf of 3 Texans who told him that they intend to make suppressors for their own personal use that will remain in Texas. They say the suppressors would enable them to defend their homes without earplugs, allowing greater alertness without the risk of hearing damage. Now, Oliverson, who is the person who submitted the bill in the Texas state legislature, is also a medical doctor, and he presented similar arguments when laying out the bill on the floor of the Texas House. Paxton also argues that the federal government has no compelling interest in suppressor regulation that could outweigh the Second Amendment in supporting precedent like D.C. versus Heller. Some more quotes from the lawsuit. It says, the government cannot demonstrate that taxation and regulation of firearm suppressors, unlike dangerous items like hand grenades, is necessary for public health and safety. The government cannot point to any harm that taxing and regulating firearm suppressors alleviates. This one is going to be a lawsuit to watch, guys and gals. If you want to stay up on this lawsuit, hit subscribe down below. The Texas AG Paxton is looking for 2 specific injunctions related to the ATF. And these permanent injunctions he's looking for, the first one would stop the ATF from assessing the tax stamp. Get rid of it altogether in the state of Texas. And the second one would stop ATF from enforcing federal gun regulations that impose duties besides taxes on the making of suppressors in Texas for personal use in Texas. And even more important than these 2 permanent injunctions in my mind, because this declaration he's seeking would help every single state, he's seeking declaration that federal regulations on suppressors are not a valid exercise of power, meaning the ATF does not have the ability to do this. Like I said earlier, this is a very important lawsuit, one we should all be paying attention to, especially if you live in a state like Massachusetts that suppressors are illegal. About 6 miles right there is Connecticut, and y'all can have them, but I can't, so you must have different ears than I do here. Right? Makes no sense. That's why this is a big lawsuit. So if you want to stay in the know, make sure you join this channel, become a member of the New Sons of Liberty, and I am very grateful for your support. Till we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry a gun to keep you, your friends, your family, your community safe. Remember, a gun on your hip is more effective than a cop on the phone. And if you want to know the value of the Second Amendment and why we need ARs and AKs and full standard size capacity magazines, turn on any channel on your dial right now. And that's what it's for. Take care, y'all.